Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. So in this video, we are going to discuss Leetcode problem of the day, and today's problem is design a food rating system, and it is a medium level problem. So the problem essentially says asks us to design a class that is food ratings, and we have certain types of operations that we have to perform in this particular class. Now we have to design a system in such a way so that all the operations are performed in an efficient manner, right? So we have certain types of operations such as modify, and we have to return some kind of food depending upon the entered cuisine, right? So I'll just explain you the design first, and then we'll move on with the solution, right? So let's say the things that we'll be getting three arrays as the input. So first is the food item. So the first will be food item and the cuisine and finally the rating. So each food item will have two things associated with it. So let's say my food is does have a cuisine associated to it, so cuisine, and it also has a rating associated to it. So both of them are associated to the food item only. So let me just write it, right? So rating, right? So these are the two things that are associated to my food item. Now what will happen? There is a type of query that says highest rated food. So in this particular query, what I'll do is I'll receive a string cuisine, right? So I'll receive a cuisine type. I'll have to go through all the food items which is of type cuisine. So all food items of type cuisine, and then return the one with highest rating, right? If multiple food items, then return lexicographically smallest one, right? So let me just write it as points. So I'm just doing this so that you understand the problem well enough, right? So now we see we have certain types of details with us. The first thing is we will receive three arrays. The first one is the food item, and then the cuisine type, and then the rating, right? Now each food item is associated with two types of details. So the first one is cuisine, to which cuisine it belongs, and the second one is its rating, right? Now once we have determined these two things, one type of query, so this is only one, the first type of query will be the highest rated food. Now they will give us a cuisine, and we have to go through all the food items that are of this particular cuisine type, and then return the one with the highest rating. Now if multiple food items have the same highest rating, we have to return the lexicographically smallest one. Now the other that is query is, or the other function is modify ratings. Modify rating. So we will receive a food item, and we are also going to receive a new rating, right? So new rating, and we have to update the rating of the input, update the rating of the input food item, right? So this is what we want to do. This is the second type of query. Just for the sake of consistency, I want to take this particular color, right? So these are the only two types of queries. Now we have to design a system in such a way so that both of the queries are answered efficiently. Now let me just take the screenshot of this particular part so that I can explain you what were the different data structures that I will be using to solve this particular problem. Obviously the solutions can differ a lot in this particular problem because you can design your system accordingly, but I made this particular solution. So let us first talk about this first data structure. I'm going to mark all of these three. So this is going to be my first data structure. So let's say this is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third one, and we are going to discuss these three in detail, what they are storing and how they are supposed to work. So the first one is cuisine rating. Now this cuisine rating, I'll have this cuisine rating. What is it? What does it store? It stores a string, and then it stores a map. So the first dimension is going to be a string. which is going to represent the cuisine itself. The second dimension is going to be an integer which is going to represent the rating, and these two dimensions will store a set of strings, right? So my approach might look a little bit complex, but if you understand it well enough, then you will be able to solve this problem. And obviously I highly encourage you to design your own system so that you can get a better grip on this particular problem. That is why I laid some more emphasis on explaining the problem itself rather than jumping into the solution, right? So now I have designed this cuisine rating map in such a way so that the first dimension contains the cuisine name, the second dimension contains the rating, and the third dimension contains the set of strings containing the food items. So basically I can access the cuisine rating by providing a cuisine type and providing the rating, and it will give me a set of all the food items which are of this particular cuisine type and have this particular rating, right? Now this particular set will have all the food items. Obviously they are unique and they are sorted. Now the second thing that I have is, so this was the first item. The second thing is food type. So what it does is, it will accept the cuisine, or so it will accept the food item as the first input, and it is going to return me a string which is the cuisine, right? So whenever I enter the food, it will give me the cuisine type of this particular food. Now the third is food rating. So it also does what it sounds like. So I have to give a food item as input, and it is going to give me the rating of that particular food item, right? So once I have this particular thing, I can implement these two functions. So the first function was highest rated food item. Now what I can do is, I will receive the cuisine as input, right? So I'll go to my cuisine rating map. Now let's say, let me just draw the map. So let's say I have these. So this is, let's say, cuisine 1, cuisine 2, cuisine 3, cuisine 4, cuisine 5, and so on. And then again I will have this kind of structure, right? So this will be rating 1, rating 2, rating 3, rating 4, rating 5, rating 6. Let's say this is rating n, right? So I will try to access first of all this particular cuisine, right? I know which cuisine I want to access. Let's say it is C1. So I access this particular cuisine. I want the highest rated item. So since this whole array like thing is actually a map, so if I show you here, it is a string. First of all, this is the string will be the cuisine, and this now is a whole map, right? So it looks like an array, but it isn't map. That means if it is an ordered map, this last value will be the highest value, right? Since these all are integers, this value will be the greatest value. So I can try to access this particular pointer, that will be cuisine rating. I have the cuisine type, and then I can try to access the last pointer by rbegin, right? Once I have this particular pointer, I can dereference it, and at this particular pointer, the second item will be a set of strings. So I can access the second item, right? Why second? Because the first item will be the rating itself. The second item is actually the set of the food items. So I can access the second. Now when I get this particular set, it will be a set of strings. I can just return the front element in the set because it will be the lexicographically smallest one. So what I did was, I went to a particular cuisine, I went to the last item because it will be the highest rating. I took that particular set from that particular position and returned the smallest element from the set, which will obviously be the frontmost element, right? Now the second type of query was modify rating. So how do I modify the rating? Now I will use all the three things, right? First of all, I will have to get the food type, right? Once I get the food type, I'll get which cuisine does it belong to. Now once I get the cuisine, I can go to this particular specific rating, which was the old rating of that particular food item. Since now, let's say it belonged to R6, I have to remove that food item from R6. Let's say I remove that food item from R6. Now if R6 has become empty, I'll also have to remove R6, right? So why am I removing R6? Because each time I am trying to access the last element. right? So if last element was empty, then there would be no use of accessing the last element. So as soon as a current rating becomes empty, its set becomes empty, I have to remove it from my map, right? Now I will update the rating of this food rating, and I'll insert the food item into the new rating. So let's say the new rating will be here. So basically I'll have this cuisine list, let's say, and then I had the cuisine specified, and then I had the new rating. So I'm just going to insert my food item dot insert the food item here, right? So remember to insert it here and also update the food rating. So these are the two things that you'll have to do, and in this particular function we'll be using all of these three data structures that we had created right here, right? So this was my solution to this particular problem. Obviously you can create your own, and let me just show you how I have done it. These are the three data structures that we have just discussed. Now I've created this is the constructor, and I created a variable n. I'm just traversing through all the values. So the three things that I'm doing here is I'm setting the food type of the current food of I as cuisines of I, right? I'm updating the cuisines rating of cuisines of I with this specific rating, and I'm inserting foods of I into that particular map. Now I'm also updating food rating of the current food with the current rating, right? So these are the three things that I have done. Now when I have to return the highest rated cuisine, what I do is I'm just going to create a set of strings that is food list, and I'm going to derive it from here. So I'm trying to access the current cuisine, I'm trying to access the last pointer because it will have the highest rating, and I'm going to access the second part of this particular dereference pointer. So why the second part? Again, because the first part will be this integer and the second part will be the actual set of strings, right? So once I get the food list, I can just return the starting element from this food list because it will be the lexicographically smallest one. Now when I have to change the rating, I'll first get its cuisine type, right? So it will be given by food type of the current food, and I'll also get its old rating. So now since this cuisine's rating has changed, I'm going to remove this particular cuisine from this particular food item from its specified cuisine and old rating. So cuisine rating of this cuisine and old rating, I'm just going to erase this particular food item. If the size of this particular cuisine and old rating becomes 0, I'm going to remove this particular old rating and then insert this particular new item at this particular cuisine and new rating, and also update the rating of this particular food item, right? So whenever I need later on this particular updated rating, I can also access this using the food rating. So let me just quickly submit this and show you that this particular solution works. So you actually see that I submitted this problem like I believe it is almost or more than a year. I submitted this submission in 2022, and my solution has greatly improved. So you see that it was 1200 or 1300 milliseconds. Now it dropped to around 600 milliseconds. So this is how you generally improve slowly while solving problems, and you just have to develop consistency, and your solutions will keep on getting better, right? Although it still says it is only faster than 5% of the submissions, but I would say it is a great improvement on an individual level if I have been able to cut down the runtime to half, right? So these are just very small things that you will notice when you keep on coding for a long time. So this is the only thing that is required, and that is the only reason that I'm making these videos, to help you guys develop consistency and not skip any problem of the day, right? So that is it for this particular video. I hope that you guys were able to understand the solution. If you guys did, then consider dropping a like on this video, and don't forget to share thoughts in the comments, because your engagement with this particular video really helps the YouTube algorithm to understand that this video was actually helpful for you, and it will be able to reach much more people like you who want to keep solving new problems. So that is for today. Till the next video talks, keep coding, stay safe, bye bye.